Planet magazine.
Also known as Wednesday 13.
Welcome to Brutal Planet magazine.
Welcome to Brutal Planet magazine.
Welcome to Brutal Planet magazine.
You're listening to Brutal Planet.
Hey, what's up, everybody? CJ Pierce here from Rhino, and you're listening to Brutal Planet Media right here. Get yourself.
Hey, I'm Steve from Within the Ruins, and this is Brutal Planet.
Greetings, Brutal Planet. We are live with Mr. Nick Wolf from the band Oceans on Other Planets. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing great, man. How are you?
Very good, thank you.
Dude, I got to say first things first, that was a killer introduction, man. What is the song on there?
Oh, it's actually, you're the first person to even ask that. It's just something I threw together myself, actually. I recorded it in my living room, believe it or not.
Fucking awesome. Oh, am I allowed to curse? Is this?
Yeah. Speak free, man. What I usually do, the reason I love doing these live streams is it just gives us a bunch of content. So I'll go back through and like clip it out, and
Okay.
and then if I need to like monetize something, I can censor if I need to. But you know, on the live streams, I don't usually turn the monetization on, so I'm just like, say what you want. Like, it's an open forum.
Amazing. Well, not to get political, but I love the First Amendment, so I like to be able to say whatever I feel.
I'm with you, man. It's so funny because I've talked to people from other countries who are like, yo, you guys don't realize how important that is. And like the First Amendment, like other countries don't have that.
Yeah. I mean, when you say that, the first thing that comes to my mind is like, you know, I have a bunch of friends that work at Snapchat, and like a really interesting story that I was told was like, and this is kind of a trippy little anecdote here, but like,
I love it.
Homosexuals in the Middle East use Snapchat to communicate because if they get caught being homosexuals, they will fucking get killed or whatever, right? And it's a terrible thing, right? They can't just be themselves. So they can't even like say what they feel, say what they mean. They can't express love to certain people. And this is a terrible, terrible thing. We have to combat that at every opportunity.
Yeah, it's actually kind of cool to hear that technology is enabling that. You know, it's like it's one of the byproducts. Like social media, I think gets a bad rap because, you know, of all the byproducts and some of the bad effects that it has. But it's just like television or any other form of media, as far as I'm concerned. Like when I was a kid, people were like the TV's the devil and Satan comes through the TV. You know, it's just like everything has its, you know,
yin and yang, pros and cons. Yeah.
Right.
I mean,
man.
this is something that I'm sort of like realizing more and more almost every day. Every single thing has good things about it and bad things about it. Like even if you won like $100 million tomorrow, there's a lot of good stuff that comes with that, but there's also going to be bad things like taxes, for example, right?
Oh yeah.
So there's nothing that's perfectly like purely perfect. You know what I mean? Everything comes with a upside and a downside, you know?
It's so true, man. It's like the natural balance of the universe. It's like nothing comes without strings.
That's right. And nothing great really comes without adversity is another thing that I'm learning, you know, like I just put together this new band, this new video, a tour, a whole bunch of stuff, but it is not easy, as I'm sure you know. But like nothing amazing or great comes without struggle, effort, energy, love, light, negative stuff that you got to combat. You know what I mean? Like, and the good shit is not handed out for free, typically speaking, you know?
You're speaking my language, man. Have you ever heard of the show Kill Tony?
Sounds a little familiar, but I don't know.
So it like this all ties together with what we're talking about because first of all, it's a comedy show, and it's kind of like they just get comedians and they pull names out of a hat and they bring people up, and sometimes they find like amazing comedians who write great jokes, but most of the time they're shitty and they roast them and like actually interview them and like bring things out of them. They're like, why don't you talk about that? That's funny, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it's a really cool process. But on the same note of what you just said about adversity, there's Tony, the host, he'll bring comedians up, and if they bomb, he'll go, your parents are still together, aren't they? And they're like, yeah. And he's like, you have to like suffer tragedy or like, you know, go through some kind of adversity to be funny. and relatable,
Yeah.
you know, and
Yeah.
that's kind of like the point that they're making. So I think it's true in everything.
It certainly applies to music, right? There's like a pretty well-known sort of like unspoken assumption that the greatest artists went through a lot of pain or a lot of struggle to express what they express, right? And you think about like right off the top of my head, like Nirvana, Kurt Cobain had a rough upbringing. Smashing Pumpkins, Billy Corgan's parents like treated him like shit, you know. And
Yeah.
Steve Aoki is another one that comes to mind. Like he basically spent his whole life trying to get his dad's approval. Like, and he's admitted this at this point, right? He's like, I didn't have a good relationship with my dad. My dad was an amazing businessman who had this, like, I think he owned Benihana or something.
Benihana, yep.
Yeah. So like he's looking at it, he's looking up at his dad, he's looking at the shadow his father casts. He didn't get whatever love and attention he needed. And he spent the rest of his life basically trying to be fucking great at something to show his dad, I'm great too. And it shouldn't have to be right, but like so many stories of the top performers in music, art, athletes, whatever, it's like they got a chip on their shoulder. It's almost like in comic books, right? Like the origin story. What fucked this person up to make them go after this quest, right? And probably I'm no exception.
So what's your origin story, man?
Dude, see, I led you right into that. You fell right into my trap. No, I'm just kidding.
That's a question I always ask. So
yeah,
it's perfect setup.
I grew up in a small town outside of Cleveland, Ohio, cornfields and cows and shit, small high school, everything like that. And I discovered the guitar really early on. Like I found a guitar in my uncle's closet. He gave it to me. And then, you know, I'll be a little vulnerable here for the show. But like when I was around 12, 13, my father passed away, which was tragic, of course. And, you know, a couple of my friends were kind of helping me get through it. And one of my buddies was like, hey man, you still have that old guitar? I'm like, yeah, I think so. And so we pulled out the guitar, started messing with it. And he was like, you know what? We should spend this summer learning the guitar, you know? And basically that was my way to cope with the loss that I was going through and all of that stuff. And we did exactly that. And I'm really thankful because it came pretty easy to me. And I don't say that like in a take it for granted way, but like I started learning really fast and kind of surpassed my friends like rapidly. And I was like, whoa, what's going on? Maybe I'm supposed to do this. You know what I mean? And then the next year at school, we did the Battle of the Bands at the talent show thing and we won. And that felt really good. And so from there, you know, I was off and we played Battle of the Bands at Peabody's Down Under in Cleveland when I was like 15 and we won that. And that was pretty cool. And so every one of these things has been stepping stone to trying to, you know, make an impact through music. But I think it did start with those early days and, you know, some tragedy that was unexpected and unfortunate, you know, and, you know, my dad was a great man. And I'm just trying to live up to kind of like, again, like I said, the shadow that he cast, but it's not a negative thing. Like he was a very warm, loving guy. And I'm actually trying to be more kind and more loving and follow in his footsteps in that regard.
That's cool, man. Cleveland also very famously a very rock and roll city. So, you know, you have that in your foundation as well.
I mean, there's a lot of great artists that have come out of there. I mean, to an extent, Marilyn Manson, Nine Inch Nails. Man, there's a long list. It's just starting to escape me all of a sudden. But Chrissy Hind from Ohio, Pretenders, right? Devo's a good one. They changed the game in their own special way. Yeah. They're big Ohio guys. You should listen to his story sometimes. He's got a like really cool story.
Oh yeah, I love that band. A lot of people don't know this either, but Devo, huge influence on Tool.
Yeah.
Maynard.
Well, that's another thing that's really interesting about music, not to change the subject, but like how the tendrils of people's art and lives kind of like intermingle. Like when you peel back the onion and you look at who influenced who, it's very fascinating. And sometimes it's stuff you wouldn't expect, you know what I mean?
Totally.
And then there's also bands that are unknown, but they've actually influenced a ton of people, like Echo and the Bunnymen. I mean, they're pretty known, they're not unknown, but like they influenced like so many great bands in terms of like post-punk, new wave, all that stuff. But yeah, like that's one way to really learn who somebody is. Like, who do you love? What music do you love? And I love asking that question.
Yo, yeah, yeah. That's one of my. The thing that's cool about that too is everyone likes music of some kind, like pretty much. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't. I think it was Tucker Carlson actually that said this on Joe Rogan, but he was talking about rhythm.
Oh
And
yeah,
'cause-
I just
did you
listened
see
to this
that?
recently. Yeah.
I thought that was so brilliant. I was like, wow, Tucker Carlson nailing it. He's like, rhythm is something that is inherent in all people.
Yeah.
And
I mean, it stems from like the heartbeat, like you're in the womb, you're
yeah,
hearing your mother's heartbeat. So you've been hearing beats from literally day one.
yeah, yeah. It's and I never thought about that because he's like, I love drums. I love like the drum circles and great. He was, talking about the Grateful Dead and stuff, but it's just like, wow, that was heavy. That hit me like a ton of bricks. I'm like, that's something I've never really thought about because it's true. Like in well, not all music has rhythm, but most of it does.
I mean, there's always something, right? Like even if there aren't any drums, like if it's just a single cello or something, it's playing to
Yeah,
rhythm and it's hitting beats,
true.
right? So it's definitely there and everything. Like for me, man, I'm a huge fan of like just drumming, like great rock drummers and stuff. I
Yeah.
remember I went to Coachella like maybe 2010 or something, and Jay-Z was playing, and I am a Jay-Z fan, but there's people who don't like that kind of music, whatever. It's your
I
choice.
love
But
Jay-Z.
but he had the most amazing backing band, and he had one of the most phenomenal drummers I've ever seen. And like I actually kind of zoned out and stopped listening to the actual keyboards, the vocals, any of that stuff. The drummer just took me on a fucking journey, man. And really great drummers, their music on their own, they don't even need the rest of it to
Yeah.
entertain you. It's really fascinating.
Yeah, we were just talking about the Slipknot thing. I don't know if you've been following any of that, but that guy Eloy Casagrande, who played with Sepultura, he kind of like had a bit of a following for doing like Slipknot drum playthroughs
Oh, I
on
didn't know that.
on YouTube and shit. Yeah, and so it was like, oh, of course, this guy's like a natural fit for the band. But anyway, it's a cool time, I think, in that regard too. It's like someone like him who's a guy from Brazil who is a huge fan of this band and just happens to be a phenomenal drummer is now in the band.
Yeah. That reminds me of the Judas Priest story, right? Where the Tim the Ripper Owens was like doing covers, and then he got pulled into the band for a while.
Yep.
I think that's what they made that movie, the Rockstar movie,
Rockstar.
about or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
With
Really
Mark
crazy.
Wahlberg.
Yeah. Well, John Frusciante from Chili Peppers was just a fan when they pulled him into the band way back when.
Really?
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
he was like friends with, I think, with Hillel or something, but he was kind of like a guy who would just follow them around because he loved what they were doing. And then, unfortunately Hillel passed, and then they said, well, you want to give it a try, right? So those are crazy stories, man.
They kind of did that with that Klinghoffer guy too, who replaced John for a while.
Yeah, he was the tech. I think he was the guitar tech.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so cool. Music has such a cool like you were saying, tentacles. I was watching this thing this morning on TikTok. Like I'll wake up and like be flipping through TikTok in my bed, and it was about Nashville, and they were talking about all these like punk and like metal guys that are in Nashville now. And it was, do you know the band Lit? They had that song, can we forget about the things I said? That guy, Jeremy Popov, is like writing country music now in Nashville.
Wow.
And stuff. The guitar player from that band. I was just like, that's crazy.
Well, and it is the universal language, and it's like just different colors, right? Different canvas, different colors, but it's all painting kind of emotion, you know what I mean? And like for me, dude, I love pretty much every single kind of music. The one thing that I don't really like is sort of that really fake country where they put like these synthetic beats on there and stuff. And it's not because I don't like mixing stuff, because mixing genres is great, but it like when I'm hearing that music, to me, it's almost like I'm eating plastic. It's the synonymous to like eating plastic for me, which is a weird analogy, but it just makes me kind of nauseous. It's like, is this real? Is this authentic?
Yeah.
I don't know,
I know what you're saying. There's a lot of rap like that too. And I love rap, but there's like a lot of just like with like a little clickety hi-hat, boom, clickety
Well,
hi-hat.
so coming back to your point about rhythm, right? This is a fascinating thing that I think some musicologists have studied. Like different eras of like hip hop have different sort of rhythmic patterns. And then once a new kind of pattern emerges and it becomes the hot new thing, everybody coming out wants to do that pattern, right?
Yeah.
And then so for a little while you'll listen to the radio and every song has the da 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 da,
The same cadence.
thing. Yeah. and then it becomes played out and they move on. You know what I mean? It's almost like a sub style actually, which is pretty fascinating.
Yeah. Well, I got into hip hop in the 2000s, like the early 2000s, when it was like it kind of went underground, and it was like almost like punk rock back then, I feel like,
Mm.
because there were all these little groups that would do stuff. Like there's this group called Anticon that was out of the
Mm.
Bay Area that was kind of like, I called them the white boy Wu-Tang, because they were like, it was like indie rapper guys, but out of that came like Atmosphere and like
I
a
love
couple other,
Atmosphere.
yeah, like Slug from Atmosphere was in Anticon, and then like El Producto from Company Flow had like his own label, and he put out like Aesop Rock and like all these, and it was like hip hop was like this flower back then. It was like all these different, like there was like nerd rap and backpacker stuff and gangster rap and trap and all this different kind of stuff. And then LP now is Run the Jewels. So it's kind of like all that stuff birthed, you know, all these new styles. And
You know,
now
a
it's kind of
crazy
like,
thing I'll tell you about Run the Jewels, just to connect it back to my own life. I spent like about a year working at Shangri-La Studios in Malibu, which is Rick's studio.
oh wow.
And Run the Jewels was doing a record there. I'm sad to say I don't remember the name of the record right now. I'm blanking, but I think it was Killer Mike's birthday one night, and I was the lucky guy who got to go to Mastro's to pick up their like $2,000 birthday dinner order and stuff. And they were texting me like, "Where's the food? Where's the food?" You know what I mean? And the studio to Mastro's is like at least a 25-minute drive, even though they're both in Malibu, you know?
Yeah,
So like
yeah.
I'm over there freaking out, like I got to get this food back. But, you know, I hustled my ass back there, and they ate birthday dinner right in the kitchen at Shangri-La there, which is the same house where they filmed that classic movie. Oh no, am I going to forget the name? The pool movie. I'll think of it later. But anyways,
Oh,
so I got
Fast
to
Times
like,
at Ridgemont High, probably.
what's that?
Was it Fast Times at Ridgemont High? Maybe not.
No. I'll Google it on the side here because I want to fill in the blank there. But anyways, so you know, I
That's
got to
super
kind of
cool.
assist when they were making that record, which was really cool.
Yeah, LP is definitely one of my heroes in the hip hop world. Just lyrically, he has some stuff that I just like always like. He had a line. He's like, even when I say nothing, it's a beautiful use of negative space. Like just shit like that. That's like super poetic and like subversive. He had, yeah. Anyway.
He's a pretty cool dude, and he was really kind to all of us folks working there. By the way, I found the answer. It's The Last Waltz, which was made in
Oh
1976.
wow.
And so that house is where they made the film, and there's, you know, great scenes. I'm going to give you the link on the side if you want to click on that in case you care. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was like a tremendous experience. Like the energy in that place is just like out of this world. And part of it's probably psychological. You're thinking, I'm in this place. So your mind is kind of hyping you up. But I do believe there's some truly authentic, original energy that's been built over the years. I mean, it was originally owned by the band. Bob Dylan recorded there. Bob Dylan's tour bus is in the backyard, actually, that they turned into a studio also. So there's 3 studios, the main one, then there's Bob Dylan's bus, which is a studio, and then there's a second house. And so when Run the Jewels was there, they were working in the main studio and the side studio at the same time. It was pretty cool. I don't know if I'm supposed to talk too much about that. Maybe I shouldn't.
It's okay. I mean, I don't want to get you in trouble or anything, but
Yeah.
well, we should talk about. I'm sure you. I don't want to take too much of your time because I'm sure you got a lot of stuff going on. But let's talk about the single and the video. I have the video loaded up so we can talk about it and maybe do a walkthrough. Did you want to talk about like maybe the kind of like the behind the scenes, the production of the video, and kind of the story behind it and stuff?
Sure. Yeah, I'll give a quick intro. But yeah, we just released the video today on YouTube, and so it's making the rounds. The song is called Other Side, and I'll kind of explain, you know, the background there too. But the director is Ron Geffen, who partnered with me on this, and I was kind of doing the producing, so to speak. A great team of folks helped us, and so I want to give credit to all of them. Ashley Jade is the assistant director. John Ohana did the visual effects. My good buddy Miguel Perez was in this, who's also in the movie Blow and CSI and Seinfeld. So he's been my buddy for like 15 years, and we had to have a priest in the video because it's like a funeral scene, by the way. And so I said, Miguel, you got to be the priest in my video. And he was like, anything for you, man. So that was super cool. So we got a legitimate actor in there. And then we got Jade Kim, who's the lead actor, who basically is the funeral victim, or, you know, she dies basically in the video. But yeah, so the song Other Side is basically two meanings. Number one, like when someone passes away, we don't know what happens. Nobody really knows. There's a lot of theories, right? But in theory, that, you know, some people believe they go to heaven, some people believe nothing happens. There's really a wide spectrum of belief here, right? But I'm holding on to kind of the hope that there is some sort of other side when we pass, as a spirit or whatever, right? Maybe we get to reunite with our loved ones, maybe not. Nobody knows. So there's sort of the other side of earthly life. That's one concept. The second concept is about, imagine you meet someone that you really connect with, and, you know, you want to be with them, and you're trying to figure out, like, how do I win this person over? How do I take them to the other side and make them mine? So there's both themes in the lyrics and in the video, and then they kind of tie together. They kind of intersect because, like, let's say you're in love with someone and they pass prematurely, which happens a lot, unfortunately, right? That love doesn't die. You know what I mean? That love goes on theoretically forever, right? So maybe the other side initially is when you're trying to, you know, bang this chick. I'm just saying that for the soundbite, I guess. That's the other side in the beginning, right? And then maybe you fall in love and you have a long relationship, a long fruitful relationship. And then sadly she passes early and you're still in love, and maybe she's still in love with you. So now you're trying to reach the other side. So that's kind of the theme of this whole crazy thing.
Yeah. Where does that energy go? I mean,
exactly. You said it much more succinctly. I like that.
I'm good at icing cakes.
Thank you for icing the cake.
let's start it off, and we can kind of.
So this is Jade here, and here's our funeral.
The volume's all the way up.
Yeah, I can't hear it. I don't know if I'm supposed to.
Why can't I hear the volume? Here, we'll play it. We'll just play it off YouTube. I usually like to get a clip, you know, because sometimes if I play it directly off YouTube while I'm live streaming, it, you know, glitches out a little bit.
Whatever works for you. Yeah,
we'll do this. It doesn't sound like the sound on this is very good, so I don't want to. I probably messed up getting the clip, so we'll do this. Here we go. Let me go into theater mode. There we go. See how that looks. Yeah. All right. Let's start this over. My apologies.
Take two.
Something in the way you looked at me tonight. Something in your eyes suspended in the light.
Where'd you guys film this at, out of curiosity?
This is a like an old church in Glazer Park in LA that we rented for the video shoot. It's actually very beautiful.
I can tell we're on the edge of changing everything. It's time. So are we gonna jump? Yeah. I can't wait another night while you're waiting on.
Tell me if you're fucked with me top.
I can talk just briefly about the band. You know, so we've got Zak St on drums, who also plays in the end Linkin Park tribute, as well as has done stuff with Corey Taylor, Stevie Wonder, Justin Bieber, a lot of great folks. So he's tremendous on the drums, great friend as well. And then on bass, we've got Jack Glazer, who also plays guitar in Plastic Rhino, which is his own band. And then in our group, we have Mike on guitar, who is also in Scarlet Rose, who's doing shows in LA again. I think they reunited after many years apart. But just fucking great guys, man. You know, like great musicians, good friends, really kind and caring. So yeah, they came together with me last year, and then we've been kind of continuing to build this thing. And then right there on the screen, you'll see Miguel. That's my buddy I was talking about, who, if you look him up on IMDb, he's got, I don't know, maybe like hundreds of credits. He's been in everything. My favorite that he's been in is Seinfeld, by the way. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, he's playing the priest, presiding over the funeral ceremony here. Yeah, I think we can keep rolling.
I can't wait another night, feeling like it's either do or die. Gonna see me on the other side. No matter what I say, what I say, what I say to you.
These are fake flowers from Amazon, by the way.
It isn't gonna change what it is that we're here to do.
Amazon's so great.
No matter what I do, what I do, what I do, you're gonna ruin me and I'm gonna ruin you. We're living on the edge and we just can't hide the truth. I can't wait another night while you're waiting on forever, right?
So this is like she's writing me a note so that when she's gone, you know, she can beckon me to the other side.
Okay.
Another night, feeling like it's either do or die. You're gonna see me on the other side. I can see you're
Things are getting a little evil here.
What's that?
Things are getting a little evil here. You'll see the crosses flip upside down. That's a very metal moment, actually.
Oh, I love it. I saw him shaking. Ooh.
I can't wait another night while you're waiting on forever, right? You're gonna see me on the other side. I can't wait another night, feeling like it's either do or die. You're gonna see me on the other side. I can't wait another night.
Does it say anything specific on that note there?
Yeah, it says the hook of the song. Are you going to see me on the other side? Basically,
Okay.
right? So
Is
she
that
left us
Chinese?
behind. What's that?
Is that Chinese, Korean? What is it? What language is
No,
that?
it's just in English.
Oh,
but
okay, I
it's
see
like-
it.
It's stated because
That's how bad my eyes are. I thought it was like Chinese characters at first. Now that I can see it in freeze, it's just a
love
little
that.
blurred.
Yeah. It's a little fucked up.
What's that? Sorry.
It's a little blurry because we did the scene a bunch of times, and frankly, the liquid in the vial was leaking a little bit. Like each time we would pick it up, it wasn't sealed super well, so it kind of like made the ink blur. And we
Yeah.
started to think maybe that actually adds some coolness, some authenticity. So we left it alone, and you know, but yeah, you
It
got to
does
be
look
able
cool.
to zoom in.
Yeah.
See me on the other side. Feeling like it's going down.
Okay. So that's like the Romeo and Juliet moment. Like he drinks the poison.
Exactly, you nailed it. Yeah,
I got it.
it's a reference and an homage to the old classic story. You know.
Love it.
See me on the other side. Other side.
There you have it.
Fantastic video, man. One of my favorite records of all time is My Chemical Romance, 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge, which is kind of like a Romeo and Juliet homage too. So
Yeah, I wasn't thinking about that when we put this all together, but then I was talking to a few friends, like telling them the plot, and they're like, "Oh, it's kind of like that," and I'm like, "Oh, And then we actually thought for a second, should we change it? But then we just rolled.
No. I wasn't even saying that, thinking that you like making that comparison. Just similar reference, I guess.
Yeah,
A lot of people make these kind of references.
That one's used like a billion times, right? Like it's almost like it's in the public domain in a way, because it's just such a classic story and it's been used like forever. But
yeah,
it's Shakespeare, the legendary Shakespeare. It all comes from him.
One more question I got for you before we wind this down. How did you come up with the name Oceans on Other Planets? Because I was looking when I Googled it the first time, I get like science articles and stuff.
Well, that is kind of a problem, the SEO, and my producer and I talked about that before we launched all this. It's like, you're gonna have a little bit of a trouble with the SEO on Google and stuff, but it just felt right. But anyways, I've had different bands over the years. One of my other bands was Icarus Landing, that was, moderately successful back in the day. But I really did spend a lot of time trying to pick the name. I had like a Google Doc with like 300 names, and I was whittling it down. And actually, my goal for the end of last year was to finalize the name, because I was spending too much time going back and forth. And the reason why I care so much is because, like, it's part of the art. Like, what you name the thing is part of the art.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I'm very sensitive to this type of thing. Like, if it was a really good band, but I didn't like the name, it would sort of take it down a notch for me. So yeah, I had this big long list of names. I had a panel of trusted advisors, friends, my producer, my manager, so on. And I was running these names by them all the time, and they were giving me like thumbs up, thumbs down, And in this document that I had that I shared with, like, say 5 people, they all highlighted Oceans on Other Planets, like, coincidentally, without me prompting them, right? And so that really spoke volumes. The fact that all 5 of these people that I really trust and admire found that to be interesting and cool, like, elevated it for me, And then actually, my manager, Tom Hazer, I called him up. It was like New Year's Day or something. And I said, I think I have the name, and I really want your opinion on this. He said, okay, lay it on me. And I said Oceans on Other Planets, like, on the phone, and I immediately felt a little bit of a chill, like, run up my spine. And then he said, whoa, that's actually pretty fucking good. I said, do you really like it? He's like, dude, I hear shitty band names all day, every day. Everyone's pitching me band names all the time. This is like the first one I've heard in a while that I thought was actually pretty good. And I said, dude, I got chills when I said it. And he's like, I got chills when you said it. And I'm not making this up or embellishing. This is exactly what fucking happened. And this is a guy who's a legend in the music business in his own right. Anyways, he helped break tons of bands, especially in 90s, 2000s. And now he's manager for Taproot and Simon Says and all these other guys. And so, like, him endorsing it and giving it sort of like a positive vote kind of took it over the edge. And so I said, okay, that's it. That's what we're going to do. And then we started building some artwork for it, which I think anyone who's been following this project has seen. We've got like this spaceman astronaut scene. Like, this guy's gone out into the atmosphere to another planet. He's looking for water. He's looking for a sign of life. And he's also doing something new, which is part of why I'm doing this. Like, I wanted to have a fresh project, brand new music, brand new art, all this stuff. So it represents like new journeys, new adventures, new galaxies, man,
Very cool. Yeah, there's I hear 1,000 band names every day, and it's always cool to hear one that kind of sticks out. I talked to this guy Evo from this band Makes My Blood Dance, which I also think is a really cool
I like
name.
that. Yeah,
And
that's a cool name.
When I asked him how they came up, he's like, "Well, Kiss was taken."
That's a much better answer, much more pithy and succinct. Yeah, I gotta come up with something like that.
Yeah, but it's true. It's like, how do you come up? It's really difficult to come up with something original and fresh that you haven't heard before. So kudos to you on that.
That was actually one of the selling points. You hit the nail on the head. We wanted something that wasn't in use. So you can get the domain name, you can get it on Spotify, you can get it on YouTube. Like, we just created the YouTube channel a week ago so we could do this video, right? And you don't want to be conflicting with other brands and stuff. Like, Apple as a brand is brilliant. It's simple, it's quick, everyone knows what an apple is, it's instantly recognizable. But all the apples of the world are fucking taken because, we've been branding stuff for 100 years now. You know what I mean? So finding something unique is very difficult. And a lot of the names that I really liked, there were already a couple of them on Spotify. And I'm like, well, do I want to end up potentially in a lawsuit with these people down the line? Obviously, I don't.
Yeah, it just makes everything more difficult when you start off on that leg. So you guys only have one song up. What does the future hold? Do you have new stuff coming out? Are you building up to an album? Do you have live dates coming up? What's the future for Oceans on Other Planets?
So we have 2 more singles coming up soon. The next one is probably going to be released around June 1st ish. We're trying to do like every 6 to 8 weeks release cycle. And then the third one, another 6 to 8 weeks after that. But in addition, I've got like 40 songs in some state of production right now. So I have like quite a catalog. A lot of that was written during the pandemic when nobody was doing anything. No one's touring, no one's playing. So I basically built a little studio, wrote a ton of music, spent a lot of time with a couple of my producer buddies. I should also shout out Sahaj Tikatin, who produced Other Side with me and did the next couple singles we're going to release. And then my other buddy, Tom Chandler, who is good friends with all of our like music community down here in LA, did another like 20 songs with me. So I'm working with a lot of really cool people that I trust and admire and who've helped me kind of shape the sound. So we're going to be basically releasing something new every 6 to 8 weeks, probably for the next year, I would say. Maybe somewhere in there, like 6 months from now, we'll try to drop like an EP or an album. It just depends how things are playing out, you know? And then in terms of live stuff, we were actually going to go on tour with this band Simon Says, who just reunited after about 20 years. And that was going to kick off this weekend. But sadly, they had an unfortunate, untimely death in their band family. So I think it's the bass player's brother who just passed like Sunday. So that's terrible and tragic, and our heart goes out to them, of course. But based on those events, we just learned yesterday that they are going to have to cancel the tour, which is a big bummer. I mean, obviously, this gentleman passing is the most terrible part of all this. But we were about to do 6 dates across the Midwest, from Iowa to Pennsylvania to Ohio and back. And sadly, this has just been canceled. So I don't want to end this podcast on this downer note. But we were basically about to go on our first tour as our first single is released. So it was pretty cool. But, you know, acts of God have occurred here. And so we're going to basically reschedule the tour for August at this point. And so there's already dates being planned for that. And I think there's a big kind of metal festival in August that we're going to do with Taproot and Simon Says and a few other bands that are supposed to be on there that I think I can't say just yet. So we got some cool shit coming up. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah. Do you guys think you'll play the LA area anytime soon?
Well, we're actually talking about, because this tour just kind of got canned due to these unfortunate circumstances, we're talking about maybe finding a couple dates just to jump on, because the band is ready. We've been rehearsing our asses off.
Awesome.
Like we're in prime form and we want to play. So there's a good chance we might even do a surprise show this Saturday night in LA. So once that's finalized, we'll publish it on social and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely let me know. I'd love to check you guys out.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. It'd be great to meet you too, man, because, you know, you've got a good energy about you, and you know, you've got your podcast vibe down, man.
It's funny. No, I love, honestly, we came right on it and started talking, and it just was natural. We had Brutal Planet for a while, and I got laid off. I used to work in digital marketing. And at the end of 2022, I lost my job, and I was like, "Do I really want to like go back to corporate?" I mean, it's tough for a minute, but like, you know, I spent a year doing this, and we've kind of started to build something, and you know, I would much rather get up in the morning and talk to musicians about music. I love music, and you know, than go into an office and punch a clock and do a bunch of, you know. So it's a trade off. But yeah, anyway, I appreciate that.
I love those kinds of stories, by the way. Like, and again, it comes back to the top of the podcast, right? Like, bad things are going to happen. That's just life, and it's about what do you make out of that? Do you take that and use it as energy to fuel the next adventure, which is what you've done? You've turned this into something beautiful, and you're basically like loving it, and you're convinced you need to keep going down the path. So I'd say don't stop whatsoever, you know. And if you can help us market our single and our video, that'd be cool too.
Absolutely, man. That's what we're here for. I always joke, it's like when I was a kid, I would just turn on Headbangers Ball or like MTV, and I, you know, find new bands there, but you don't have that really anymore. You don't have that kind of like go-to source. So we have our own little corner of the internet here, and we're going to elevate bands and music that we like and have interesting conversations. And hopefully more and more people will find our corner of the internet and join us, you know?
I love that. You've got a purpose and a mission and you're on your way. And that's how I feel about this project too. You know, like it feels like we gave birth to something fresh. And by the way, like I'm really humbled because the reaction to the song and the video has been tremendous. Like far beyond any expectations we had. You know, people are really loving the sound that we've kind of crafted here. You know, it's punchy and melodic, and it's kind of like it's kind of new. Actually, I want to ask you, like, how would you describe the sound, or what kind of bands would you say that this reminds you of? I'm just curious.
That's a good question. So I hear a little bit of maybe like, and this is just my own, maybe like a little bit of Linkin Park,
Yeah.
a little bit like a little bit of new metal influence, but also maybe just a tinge of like some of that pop punk era, like emo pop punk, like in the vocals, probably.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
like the Used or Glassjaw or like that era of just kind of screamo. But yeah, I'm honestly interested to hear more of your stuff because there's only one song, so it's like I like to really dive into someone's catalog and find stuff that I like. And the song is great, don't get me wrong, but it's just I'm like I said, I'm interested to hear more what you guys are doing.
Yeah, if you're down, I can share a couple like unreleased tracks with you, so you can get a bit more taste of what's to come. That'd be very cool. And I
Yeah,
think
send it my way.
your breakdown is pretty right on. So it's good to know. It's good to know that people are kind of picking up on some of the sounds that we intended to be there. It's not just mysterious, you know, because you know, just like with marketing, right? You have to sort of like figure out where does it fit? Where's this product fit? What's the market for it? So we're trying to be thoughtful about all that stuff because we want this to have massive exposure as much as we can, you know, possibly achieve, right? So you got to have a product market fit. Listen, I sound like a record label guy all of a sudden.
No, at the end of the day, man, you just got to put out music that you're excited about, and if you're excited about it, that will transfer. You know, I really feel like that's the truth of it.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you just hit the nail on the head. I mean, I've been doing music like my whole life since I was, you know, 12 with the guitar, right? And for me, this is the product that I'm most proud of throughout my catalog, and it's just really great that it's resonating with people too. So that's the best case.
Man, that's awesome. Well, let's wind it down. Is there anything else you want to say, or anything else before we get at like I guess shout out your socials or where people can find you guys? Obviously, the videos on YouTube for the
Yeah.
single.
I mean, so since we got this unique name, we pretty much have the same handle on everything. Just Oceans on Other Planets, all one word, all lowercase. TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, etc. And then my personal Instagram is Nick Wolf Music with underscores in there, all lowercase, Nick_Wolf_music. And would love to hear feedback from anybody and everybody. And once we start having shows again, like love to meet some folks. So thank you for having me on and highlighting the video. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I really appreciate your time, and it was a great conversation. I love when I can just get people going, and it's like you just came in, we started talking about stuff, and it's just, and that's the thing. We used to do this as like these kind of like interviews where it's like, hey, we're interviewing this person, and now it's more like a conversational thing, which I think is much more interesting and enjoyable for everybody involved. So
totally agree. And it's also organic, right? It's just kind of whatever happens, right? And when the energy is right, like magic happens. So yeah, really enjoyed it. Let's talk again sometime, and I'll share some more music with you behind the scenes.
absolutely, man. And if I can get an opportunity to catch you guys live, I will do it.
Fuck yeah, man. Thank you
Thanks
so much.
again, man. Appreciate it very much. Nick Wolf, Oceans on Other Planets. Check their stuff out, and we'll see you all next time.
Cheers. Later.